All right, so we've got this collection of videos you sent us,
Yeah.
and it's all about like AI and language learning and this thing they call human agency.
Yeah, the human agency thing is really interesting.
Yeah, it sounds kind of academic almost, but
It is, but the way the speaker talks about it, it's pretty relatable.
yeah, for sure.
And they bring in all this stuff about language learning.
Yeah.
Which is really cool because, they're a language teacher.
Yeah.
And translator themselves.
Yeah, and like everyone's talking about AI these days, but like tying it to language learning, that's pretty different.
It is a unique perspective
Yeah.
on this whole AI thing.
And one thing that I thought was really interesting was this concern that they have about, how much we're relying on AI for information these days.
Yeah.
Especially like those big language models like ChatGPT.
Right.
They're kind of worried that it's changing how we think and learn.
Yeah. I mean, it's a valid point. Like, we could become too dependent on these tools.
Right.
And we might end up losing some of our ability to think for ourselves.
Yeah.
To think critically.
Yeah, like form our own interpretations.
Exactly.
It's like if you always rely on GPS, you might forget how to read a map.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
Yeah.
It's like you're outsourcing your navigation skills to a device.
Yeah.
And eventually you might not even be able to find your way around your own neighborhood.
Yeah, and they actually had this anecdote about their brother.
Oh, yeah.
Who prefers practicing English with ChatGPT than talking to real people.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I get that language learning can be intimidating, but
I know.
that's pretty extreme.
Yeah, but it kind of highlights this thing about human interaction.
Right.
Like, language isn't just about grammar rules and vocabulary. It's about, connecting with people, understanding their culture.
Yeah, like the nuance.
The nuance, yeah, and AI.
Yeah.
No matter how good it gets, it can't really replicate that.
Right, like that back and forth that you get with another person.
The spontaneity of it.
Yeah, for sure.
The emotional connection.
Okay, so let's talk about this concept of human agency.
Okay.
It sounds a little bit academic, but the speaker breaks it down in a way that's surprisingly relatable.
Yeah, they make it really accessible.
Yeah. So how would you explain it? Like, what's the basic idea here?
So basically, human agency is our capacity to, make decisions and take action and achieve our goals.
Oh,
it's like that power we have to shape our own lives.
Yeah.
But they don't stop there.
Okay.
They actually suggest that agency works on all these different levels.
Go.
Starting with something you might not expect.
What's that?
Cells.
Cells.
Yeah, even at a microscopic level, there's this drive to act.
Really? And so even like those tiny organisms
Yeah.
in a petri dish.
Exactly. They're constantly moving and interacting, driven by some kind of internal compass.
Yeah, like they're making choices.
Exactly.
Even though they're just tiny little cells.
Right. And then, of course, we have agency at the individual level.
Right. So that's like our everyday choices.
Like what we eat for breakfast or...
Yeah, what job we take.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Those big and small decisions.
Yeah. Okay, so that makes sense. But then the speaker goes on to talk about this thing called collective agency.
Right.
So what is that?
This is where things get really interesting. Okay. The speaker says that humans have this amazing ability to coordinate their actions and achieve these big goals together, whether it's building a city or launching a rocket into space.
Right.
And language plays a key role in all of this.
Yeah.
It allows us to share ideas, make plans, and collaborate on a huge scale.
So language is like the operating system for human collaboration.
You could say that.
Yeah, okay, but it doesn't stop there.
No, it goes even further.
Okay.
The speaker also talks about agency on the level of what they call hyperobjects.
Hyperobjects. Okay, now we're getting into some mind-bending territory here.
I know, right?
What exactly are these hyperobjects?
Think about things like the internet.
Okay.
Climate change.
Yeah.
Or the global financial system.
Okay, so these really big, complex systems.
Yeah, these vast entities.
Yeah.
That operate on a scale that's beyond our individual comprehension.
Okay, so how do these hyperobjects have agency?
Well, the speaker uses the example of the internet.
Okay.
It's not just a tool. It's like this constantly evolving network with its own logic and dynamics.
Right.
It influences our behavior, shapes our culture,
for sure.
even impacts the way we think.
Yeah.
So in a sense, it has a kind of agency that's separate from any individual or group of people.
So it's like this invisible hand that's kind of guiding our collective actions, pushing us and pulling us in directions we don't always understand.
Yeah, and the speaker makes this really interesting point. They say that in a world where these hyper objects are becoming more and more powerful, it becomes even more important for us to cultivate our own sense of agency, our own ability to make conscious choices, and shape our own destinies.
Okay, so how do we do that?
Well, that's where the speaker's expertise in language learning comes in. They believe that learning languages, especially with intention and a focus on personal growth, can be a really powerful tool for cultivating our agency.
Okay, now you've got me really curious.
I know, right?
I want to learn more about these strategies.
Well, let's dive into those in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay, sounds good. So we talked about AI, language learning, and human agency in the last part.
Yeah, kind of like set the stage.
Yeah. Painted the big picture.
Exactly.
And now we want to get into the nitty-gritty.
Yeah, like how do we actually cultivate this agency?
Yeah, how do we put these ideas into practice?
And the speaker offers some really interesting and creative approaches.
Yeah, and one that really stuck out to me was this idea of mantras.
Oh, yeah, the mantras.
It sounds kind of mystical.
It does.
But they actually use it in a very practical way.
Yeah, it's all about using language to shape your thoughts and actions.
Yeah, and I remember they talked about this program called El Profesional.
Right.
Where students build these symbolic representations of themselves.
Yeah, in Spanish.
Yeah, in Spanish, using these mantras.
It's like self-programming through language.
Yeah, it is. It's like you're not just learning Spanish.
Right.
You're becoming the best version of yourself in Spanish.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
It is. And the speaker really believes in the power of repetition.
Yeah.
Like by consistently repeating these mantras.
Yeah.
You're not just reinforcing vocabulary.
Right.
You're reinforcing a mindset.
A way of being in the world.
Exactly.
Wow, that's pretty powerful.
It is, especially for people who are struggling with motivation.
Yeah.
Or confidence in their language learning.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like giving yourself a pep talk in Spanish.
I like that. Okay, so then there's this other concept that they talk about called metagames.
Yes, metagame.
It sounds like something out of a video game.
It does, right?
Which is appropriate, I guess.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about language learning.
Yeah, but it's actually a really profound idea.
Yeah, so remind me, what is a metagame?
So a metagame is basically a personalized strategy for learning and growth.
Okay.
It's about understanding how your own mind works.
Yeah.
Identifying your strengths and weaknesses.
Okay.
And then designing a learning approach that's tailored to your unique needs.
So it's like becoming your own coach.
Exactly.
Like observing yourself, experimenting with different techniques.
Right.
Figuring out what works best for you.
Yeah. And the speaker gives some really interesting examples of metagames.
Yeah, like what?
One that I remember was reading complex philosophical texts in the target language, even if you don't understand every word.
Really?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Well, the speaker argues that even if you're not consciously grasping every nuance, your brain is still absorbing patterns and vocabulary. And even abstract concepts on a deeper level.
So it's like immersing yourself in the language.
Exactly.
And letting it seep into your subconscious.
Right. It's like learning a musical instrument.
Oh, yeah.
At first, it's just a bunch of random notes. But over time, your brain starts to make sense of the patterns.
And you develop a feel for the music.
Exactly.
His language is kind of like that.
It is.
And then another metagame they talked about was playing video games.
Oh, yeah, that's a fun one.
Yeah, in the target language.
Right.
I can get behind that one.
Me too. It's a lot more fun than reading philosophy.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But the idea is the same.
You're
surrounding yourself with the language in a way that's engaging and enjoyable.
Exactly. You're picking up vocabulary and grammar and cultural nuances.
Without even realizing you're learning.
Right. It's like osmosis.
I like that. And it's so different from the way most of us learned languages in school.
I know, right? It's not about memorizing verb conjugations.
Right.
It's about experiencing the language.
Yeah, and having fun with it.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about mantras and metagames.
Yeah.
And now I want to dive into this idea of multilingualism.
Okay.
Because the speaker is a huge advocate for learning multiple languages.
They are.
And they talk about this thing called multilingual agency.
Right.
So break that down for me. What is that?
So basically, every language you learn opens up a new window onto the world.
Okay.
A new way of perceiving reality.
So it's like having multiple lenses.
Exactly.
Each one revealing different details and nuances.
Right. And as you accumulate these linguistic lenses,
yeah,
your brain starts to make connections.
Okay.
See patterns that you wouldn't have noticed otherwise.
Interesting.
You become more flexible, more adaptable, more creative in your thinking.
So it's like you're building a mental map of the world. And each new language adds another layer of detail.
Another dimension of understanding.
I like that.
And that's where multilingual agency comes in.
Okay.
It's not just about being able to speak different languages.
Right.
It's about using that linguistic dexterity
Yeah.
to navigate the complexities of the world more effectively,
Yeah.
to make more informed decisions,
Yeah.
to solve problems in more creative ways.
That sounds like a superpower.
It kind of is.
And in a world that's becoming increasingly interconnected and complex,
Right.
that kind of cognitive flexibility seems incredibly valuable.
It is. The speaker believes that multilingualism can be a powerful tool for cultivating our human agency.
Especially in the face of all these challenges and opportunities that AI is bringing.
Exactly.
Makes me wonder if we should be encouraging more multilingualism in our schools.
Yeah, from a young age.
Yeah, it's a fascinating thought.
It is.
But before we go down that rabbit hole,
It's okay.
I want to talk about something else that the speaker emphasized.
What's that?
The importance of systems and frameworks.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, like having a system for organizing information.
Right.
Guiding your actions.
It's like a roadmap for personal growth.
Especially in a world where we're just bombarded with information.
From all sides, constantly.
Yeah. And I remember in one of the videos,
Yeah.
they actually shared a visual representation of their own system.
Oh, yeah, it was like a map of a city.
Yeah, it was like a medieval city.
Right, with all these different zones and pathways.
Yeah, representing different areas of focus.
And the speaker talked about how this system helps them stay focused,
Yeah.
prioritize their efforts,
Yeah.
track their progress.
Yeah, it's not like a rigid blueprint.
Right.
It's more like a dynamic framework.
That evolves over time.
Yeah, if you learn and grow.
Exactly.
It reminds me of those old maps with sea monsters.
I love that.
Yeah, like unexplored territories.
Like a map of the inner world.
Yeah, a guide for navigating the uncharted waters of the mind.
Beautifully put.
So within this framework, they identify two key areas of focus.
Right.
The multilingual agent framework and
Mhm.
frameworks for creation, connection, and cognition.
So it's about developing your ability to act and create in multiple languages
Yeah.
while also cultivating deeper connections with yourself and the world around you.
Yeah, it's a very holistic approach
It is.
to learning and growth.
And the speaker emphasizes that this isn't just theory.
Right.
It's something they actually use in their own life.
Yeah, and they're teaching their research.
Everything they do.
Okay, so there's one more concept I want to touch on before we move on.
Okay, what's that?
This idea of oscillatory movement.
Oh, yeah, the wave function.
Yeah, they bring in quantum mechanics.
Yeah.
Always makes my head spin a little bit.
I know, it's a little out there.
Yeah, but can you explain it in a way that I can understand?
I'll try my best.
Okay.
Basically, the speaker is saying that learning and growth isn't linear.
Okay.
It's not a straight line from A to B. It's more like a wave with periods of expansion and contraction.
Yeah.
Moments of clarity and moments of confusion.
Like 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Exactly. We've all experienced that.
Yeah, for sure.
And the speaker sees this oscillatory movement as a natural part of the process.
Okay.
We're constantly building up our understanding,
Yeah.
then deconstructing it,
Yeah.
then rebuilding it again.
As we encounter new information.
New experiences.
Yeah.
So it's not about striving for constant progress.
Right.
It's about embracing the ebb and flow,
Yeah.
the ups and downs.
Yeah. Trusting that even when we feel lost or confused,
Yeah.
we're still moving forward.
In a spiral.
Yeah. Getting closer to a deeper understanding.
I love that analogy.
Yeah. So it's not about being perfect.
Right.
It's about embracing the messiness of the learning process.
Exactly.
Okay. So this is all incredibly insightful.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground.
Mantras, metagames, multilingual agency systems, frameworks.
Even quantum mechanics.
Yeah. But how does this all tie back to AI?
That's a great question, and that's what we'll explore in the final part of our deep dive.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so last time we were talking about all these like really fascinating concepts from the videos.
Yeah, like mantras and metagames and multilingual agency.
Yeah, all that stuff. And it's like all very cool and inspiring.
Yeah, it's pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah, but I keep coming back to this question of like, how does this all relate to AI?
Right, like
Yeah.
how do these ideas actually prepare us for a future that's shaped by AI?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Especially in a field like law and governance.
Yeah, because AI is going to have a huge impact on how we make laws and govern ourselves.
Yeah. And I remember in one of the videos, this speaker talks about this program they're
Oh,
developing.
yeah. Transferable skills for the modern lawmaker.
That's the one. It sounds like they're really trying to equip future lawyers
Yeah.
with the tools they need to navigate this whole new legal landscape.
Right, because the legal profession is going to be transformed by AI.
Yeah, for sure. So what are these skills like? Is it all about coding and algorithms?
Well, that's definitely part of it.
Okay.
Like, lawyers need to have some basic digital literacy,
Yeah.
understand how AI tools work, how to manage legal databases,
Yeah.
and the whole issue of cybersecurity and data protection.
Right, so it's not enough to just be a legal scholar anymore.
No, you need to be tech savvy too.
Okay, but it's not just about technical skills, right?
No, the speaker also emphasizes the importance of communication skills,
Okay.
which might seem kind of obvious, but
Yeah.
it takes on a whole new dimension in a world where lawyers are interacting with AI systems.
Yeah, so it's not just about communicating with other humans.
Right. You need to be able to communicate effectively with machines too.
So, like, being able to write a clear and concise legal document isn't enough.
No, you also need to be able to explain it to an AI.
And maybe even program it into an AI.
Exactly. So clear, concise, and persuasive communication becomes even more important.
That makes sense. And then there are those skills that have always been essential for lawyers.
Yeah, like negotiation and mediation and persuasion.
Right.
Those become even more critical in a world where AI is being used for dispute resolution.
So even if an AI can analyze a case and predict the outcome,
Yeah.
it's still a human lawyer who needs to advocate for their client.
Right. Persuade the judge, negotiate a settlement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that brings us to what I think is one of the most important skills of all,
What's that?
critical thinking.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because AI systems, while they're incredibly powerful,
Yeah.
they're not perfect.
No, they can be biased, they can be opaque,
Yeah.
and they're definitely prone to errors.
So lawyers need to be able to critically evaluate the output of these systems.
Exactly. Spot potential problems.
Yeah, and make sure that justice is served.
Right, because ultimately AI is just a tool.
Yeah.
And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad.
And it's up to us, the humans, to make sure it's used responsibly
Exactly.
and ethically.
It's a huge responsibility.
Yeah, for sure. And the speaker also talks about the importance of qualities that aren't always emphasized in traditional legal education.
Oh, yeah. Like
Right?
what?
Things like emotional intelligence and empathy and self-awareness.
Those sound more like qualities you'd expect in a therapist or a counselor.
I know, right?
Not a lawyer.
But the speaker makes a really compelling argument
Yeah.
for why these qualities are going to be essential for lawyers in the future.
Because as AI takes over those more routine tasks,
Yeah.
the things that make us uniquely human, those human qualities,
Right.
like empathy and creativity and the ability to connect with others,
Yeah.
those become even more valuable.
So the ideal lawyer of the future is like this hybrid,
Yeah.
part tech-savvy analyst, part persuasive communicator.
And a part compassionate advocate.
Yeah, it's a tall order.
It is, but the speaker is optimistic.
Yeah.
That with the right training and the right mindset,
Yeah.
lawyers can not only adapt to this new landscape.
But thrive in it.
Exactly.
And throughout these videos, that the speaker keeps coming back to this theme of human agency.
Yeah, that's really at the core of their message.
This idea that even in a world of super intelligent machines,
Yeah.
we still have the power to make choices.
To shape our own destinies.
Yeah, and to uphold our values.
It's a powerful message, and it's relevant for everyone, not just lawyers,
Yeah, it's a call to action for all of us.
to step up and take responsibility for the future.
Because AI isn't some external force that's acting upon us.
Right.
It's a reflection of our own choices.
It's something we create.
Yeah, so it's not about fearing the rise of the machine.
No, it's about harnessing the power of technology
Yeah.
while also preserving our humanity.
That's a great way to put it.
And I think that's what makes the speaker's perspective so valuable.
Yeah, they offer a roadmap for navigating this complex terrain.
A way to embrace the potential of AI without losing sight of what makes us human.
Well, this deep dive has been a whirlwind of ideas.
It has.
But I have to say, I'm feeling really energized
Me too.
and hopeful about the future.
Yeah, because the future isn't predetermined,
It's up to us to shape it.
and we have the power to do that.
Well, thank you for joining us on this journey.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you found it as thought-provoking and inspiring as we have.
And remember, the future is a blank canvas.
And we hold the brush.
So go out there and create something beautiful.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep creating the future you want to see.